So does this look familiar to a lot of you guys? This is basically the kind of stuff I always fight. You know, we always talk about our shops and how stuff seems to grow. Where does it come from? How does it get here? Well, one piece at a time usually. So it's always a challenge when you want to do something to the floor. And that's what I'm about to start working on. So what I've been doing is I've been slowly moving stuff around. I'm actually standing in a spot right now where I've actually cleared up some space and moved some things around. And you've got the bay area of my shop. I've got it opened up and I'm fixing to start moving a lot of this stuff over here. I'll show you guys that in a minute. There's the Camelback drill press. This thing's got 7 foot tall. That's a pretty heavy unit. And that's actually what I'm trying to do, is get the floor done so I can, wherever I put that, it's going to be the last place it goes, or for now, the last place that it goes for now. Yeah, how about that? So we all know how that goes, right? There's always another piece of equipment that wants to supersede the other. So that's the entrance to my shop. So that side of my shop, I've got it opened up pretty good. But over here, which is where I want to work, on this side of my shop, there's my Harbor Freight alley right there, my toolboxes. Then over here on this side, I've got my shop area, my machine shop area, I should say. And so I've got, back in the back, you can't see it from here, big stack sticking up back there is a plasma table vent that I've got that has to be hooked up. But there's a 13-inch South bend lathe back there. And there is a couple toolboxes back there. There's a large pedestal grinder back there. And in the foreground here, you can see the Bridgeport mill. One fortunate thing about that is it's on rollers. Off to the left of the Bridgeport mill, you can kind of see back through there, and I've got some lighting back there, my camera lights. I've got a planishing hammer there, a pedestal grinder, small one. Back in that corner, we've got a finger brake, it's 36-inch. Off to the right of that, it's a shear. We've got a metal cutting bandsaw. We've got a wood turning lathe. We have a small Carve-Right or CompuCarve CNC wood router there. The dust collection of golf clubs. Whole bunch of bins back there for nuts and bolts, and then my little office corner. So as you can see, all of that has to move so that I can work on these floors. Because basically where I'm standing with the camera, I'll go a little bit of walkabout here. This is basically where I'm going to be putting the Camelback drill. And the reason I'm doing that, it's not going to be in my machine shop area. It's going to be over here sort of by itself. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I have a lot of room around it. I want to be able to have access to it from basically any function in the shop. You know, it's not just going to be a metal working type machine. So it'll pretty much do a lot of different things for me. But yeah, that's kind of what we got going so far. When I get into the actual flooring, I'll shoot some video of this stuff getting moved about, and then we'll get down and go through the process of putting in the floor. I'm going to do a whole series on it, I believe. I want to show you guys all the steps involved. And again, you know, if you've considered, you know, if you're working on a shop, if you got your shop recently done, you know, and you don't have a lot of stuff in there yet, you know, just take the opportunity to go ahead and get the flooring like you want it. May be a little bit expense now, but the labor savings on the other end will be well worth it. So we got that corner cleaned out, and we've got basically all the space I showed you before that I had opened up over there, because that stuff had slowly moved in on me in this corner back here. Then now it takes up a lot more room over there. So I got to do some more figuring to figure out how. I don't really want to put stuff outside because I don't want it to get wet. You know, inevitably here, if you put something outside that don't need to get wet, that's when it's going to rain. So, you know, I want to make sure I can keep as much stuff in here as I can. I've got one other place I can move things off to if I need to. But we got the corner clean. It'll probably get swept 2 or 3 more times. It'll get shot back, then it'll get washed down. Then it'll get we'll start getting into the different steps of doing the floor. But the next area that I've got is where the Bridgeport's at. It's going to be pretty heavy duty stuff. So now I got to decide if I'm just going to keep bringing that stuff into this cleared area, do the machine shop area in the back, get it all dried out and get it done, and then come back and do this half of this side. So basically do a quarter of the shop at a time. There's 1,150 square feet here. So basically doing 250, 300 square foot at a time, well within the scope of the materials that I have available. And probably that back corner is going to be the easiest to do first, but I've got to bring everything around. So I'm kind of playing the Rubik's Cube or Tetris or whatever. I'm moving stuff around. You know, that little game you used to play as a kid? Well, that was training you for being a slob in your shop when you grow up. So again, you guys out there working on your shops, you got a clear floor. Now's the time. Don't worry about the expense of it. Take out a loan if you have to. This just saves so much time in the future. Anyway, guys, we'll carry on. We'll get some more video put together. We'll see how this integrates into what we got going on video-wise, and we'll keep moving. Again, Mike Ray, Practical Metal. Thank you. What I've done today, we've been working over here trying to get these walls that I had unfinished painted, and we've already moved some stuff in on where we were working. But we got the walls painted. That was basically the last section here in my shop that hasn't been painted. Put this plywood up a while back and just finally got it painted. The interior of my shop is all sheathed with 3/4 inch plywood. It does 2 things. It gives me something to hang things off of. It also creates a level of security if anybody tries to come in through my shop from the outside. So behind each one of these sheets of plywood, we've got at least 1 inch of insulation to help keep it climate controlled in this environment. But we've got the floor clean here. What we're going to be doing next is we're pulling everything back from in the corner that's not too heavy. We're actually going to work back in the back and get all of the floor opened up so that we can work on the floor back here in this area, so that we'll work our way forward to the front of the shop on this side. Very crowded in here with equipment, so it's been kind of difficult to get things redone. It's extremely hot right now. We're pushing 100 degrees here in central Alabama, and I actually turned the fan off to do this bit, but as you can see, we're making some progress finally, and hope to be able to have the floor opened up and cleaned up enough so that we can get the paint, the epoxy, excuse me, and get some equipment in its permanent place.